Got this right here. Cracker Barrel took down the Pride page after the rebrand fiasco. So it didn't take them very long to respond to all the negative backlash, although they are kind of walking in the same path as Bud Light. They kind of pulled a reverse on course, but they haven't fired anybody. And I think that's kind of something that the CEO needs to face, honestly, just like the Bud Light CEO should have been fired as well. They have a fiscal responsibility that's punishable by law to their shareholders. And this lady lost them like $100 million in stock, like overnight practically. And that's just completely irresponsible for the CEO. But here, we'll just play this little clip here.
Kelly, I think you're right there. Absolutely. Thank you. Former Kentucky Attorney General Daniel Cameron joins me now. Daniel, I bet you guys in Kentucky are happy with the logo rollback, aren't you?
Stuart, we are excited about the rollback. This is a great day for America. Uncle Herschel's back on the logo. College football season week 1 is here. This is fantastic news. Look, I'm the CEO of 1792 Exchange. And what we saw from Cracker Barrel really was a disastrous decision that did not take into account its customers. And whether it's this restaurant or a multitude of restaurants, they've got to be concerned and focused primarily on the customer experience. Kentucky, we are the 6th largest state when it comes to Cracker Barrels that exist in our state. So this is a win for everyday Americans that want to go into Cracker Barrel, enjoy a meal. And my message to Cracker Barrel is keep your hands off the mama's pancake breakfast, because that's an important thing that all Americans agree on. And I'm hopeful that we'll continue to see hopeful good decisions out of Cracker
I just
Barrel.
wish they'd open up in New York City.
I want to bounce that back so we can look at the stock ticker right here. This was the big fall from like 59 down to $50. Why is my mouse disappearing? That's weird. What's up, Andrea? Good to see you. But yeah, and you can see they've already actually climbed back. Looks like above where they were. So, I mean, good for them. Like I said, I still think the CEO maybe should be fired. This woke, white woman scenario that we've seen.
Pretty wild. No, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, at least they went back on it. But dude, I agree. Like, there needs to be some firings happening, because it's like, who knows what's going to be next? Like it's like, hopefully she learned her lesson, but usually these people don't. So I don't know.
Right. She's just, oh well, no harm, no foul. We're back on track, right? But
yeah,
anybody that might have sold their stock in panic right there lost a lot of money. You know what I mean? And there's no going back for these folks. And then of course they see it bounce back and they're like, I guess that's what you get for being, having a gut reaction to the stock and watching it so closely. But I mean, it was looking pretty grim for them. They spent a lot of money on renovations. I want to say it was like $700 million in renovations. And
yeah,
it's funny. They talk about diversity, and they removed the diversity of Cracker Barrel. I almost called it Old Country Buffet of Cracker Barrel. They removed the diversity from it. I mean, there's only one restaurant chain that's like them, right? And so then you turn them into what everybody else is.
Yeah,
where's the diversity? You know what I mean? So it's really kind of funny how it ends up like that.
Yeah.
But here, let's play the rest of this real quick.
I'm hopeful that we'll continue to see hopeful good decisions out of Cracker Barrel.
I just wish they'd open up in New York City, but that's the chances of that are slim and none, I think.
Well, look, Stuart, they obviously we're celebrating their response on the logo, but there's still a multitude of things that Cracker Barrel is doing. And dare I say, they're in bed with the Human Rights Campaign on a host of issues. I want to see them roll back from that as well and get out of the woke ideology minefield that exists right now and just focus on making a good product there at Cracker Barrel.
Got this article from the Daily Mail. Cracker Barrel forced into screeching U-turn after firestorm over woke rebrand, sending stock surging. Cracker Barrel is scrapping its new logo after a social media backlash and a rebuke from President Donald Trump, which I think it's funny that Trump got involved and said anything about it. But I mean, he has an opinion. He's an American. So, whatever. Everything he says gets blown out of proportion. But quote, "We thank our guests for sharing your voices and love for Cracker Barrel. We said we would listen and we have our new logo is going away and our old timer will remain, the company said. And I can't help but wonder, I think they reported the number a while back that how much they spent on getting the new logo, but I can't remember right off the top of my head. Shares rose as much as 2.3%. I think I actually saw after this that Cracker Barrel went up like 7%. There's only one person on the planet that can save Cracker Barrel, Sydney Sweeney.
Yeah, I know, right? Get those Sydney Sweeney Cracker Barrel commercials out there, stat.
Right. Cracker Barrel has good genes, and so does Sydney Sweeney.
Yeah, Cracker Barrel has good crackers like Sydney Sweeney.
Right. Trump later congratulated the brand for listening to customers, writing on Truth Social. He said, "Congratulations, Cracker Barrel. You're changing your logo back to what it was." And it's, it's the thing is, it's more than the logo. I'm glad the stock bounced back because, I don't want Americans, retirement plans and things like that going to shit because of some woke lady that made a, dumb decision. But they've also changed the stores, and it's just not the same feel that it used to have, really.
Yeah, I've only been to Cracker Barrel like once in my life, so I can't really. That was like a few months ago, actually, like last year. It was actually last year, yeah. And so I really have nothing to compare it to in terms of like what the experience is like inside.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, it feels like an old country house kind of scenario, or whatever. But I haven't been there in years, to be honest with you. But we do have one in town that my wife and I used to go to. We used to go there pretty regularly, but it's just been a while.
Yeah. Yeah. There's like none close by me, and then the ones here in California, they're all in like the boony areas, So
Yeah,
it's like, yeah, it's hard to go to one.
I hear you. Yeah, nowadays, anytime I go out to eat, I always go to the Mexican restaurant.
Yeah, I know. I heard you talking about with the chips and the salsa and stuff.
Yeah.
Hey
But
man, can't never go wrong with a good Mexican spot,
yeah, as long as they're chips and salsa, as long as they don't charge you for refills, then you just never go back to that place.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think that's with any place though. Any place that charges for refills, it's like nah,
Right.
no more.
Right. Refills on drinks or refills on chips and salsa. I hate that. The
Oh
vacation
yeah,
spots, they try to get you on the refill for chips and salsa. And it's like, bro, what are you doing? Don't you
yeah,
wish you would have come back?
exactly.
But they don't. They just survive off of people one and done because they're just coming in and out of town.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. But what's funny though is that, of this whole like rebranding of the Cracker Barrel, like, you would think that like, so for instance, if the word cracker was a slur toward a black person, they would have removed that and just called it the barrel. But they have no problem with that being in the name. You know what I mean? Like they don't remove the cracker part. They just leave that
Mhm.
in there.
Right.
But if it were like a slur toward any minority, that would have been gone. That would have been part of the rebranding. Like we're just calling it the barrel.
Right. Right.
But it's like with since it's a slur toward white people, they're like, yeah, that's fine.
Right. Exactly. So I want to remind folks to make sure you hit that like button. And like Jamie says here, on the top right, make sure you click all messages and not just top messages because you'll be missing some of the chat there. I like what Chris said, the Spirit Halloween store and the Cracker Barrel storefront. That was funny. You know how they move in and out like just seasonally. That was a
Yeah,
good one.
yeah.
That was a
Yeah,
good
that
one.
is
But in the
pretty good.
interim, before they kind of made this rebound, they're getting some shade. Here's a person right here tapping one of their biscuits on the table. Oh, it's got music, so I'm not even going to play the audio. But this, people wouldn't be doing this if they weren't dissatisfied with the overall what's going on. I also saw one of their cooks or employees went and showed a video of the meatloaf that they make, that it's all pre-made and frozen and they just microwave it. And I don't eat meatloaf anyway,
Damn.
so it didn't affect me. But
Yeah. Damn.
you wouldn't see this type of shade, this type of hate coming from the social medias if the folks weren't dissatisfied. One of the funniest parts to me was, and this happens from time to time. Let's see here. When the different stores, the different brands start getting involved, and this was Steak and Shake's X account, and the logo is a symptom of a bigger problem. The $700 million remodel is insane. It's bland, soulless, and unnecessary waste of money. Instead, use this money to keep prices down to support American families. And while you're at it, go back to making fresh biscuits every day. Fire the CEO. And then let's see the chapter 11. That's funny. And then Bucky's. I don't know if this is the real Bucky's account because it's based Bucky's is the name of the account.
Based Bucky's. Yeah.
But it says I have some bad news, and they rebranded. Like it's fake that they made a rebrand of their own stuff. And, people saw it. This was funny. Person said it matches the brisket sandwich. Terrible. And then Bucky's goes blocked. I just love it when the brands do that. So funny.
Yeah. No, that is pretty funny.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm not sure if that's the real Bucky's or not. I'm kind of guessing not since it's based Bucky's, but still, I'm throwing it in there. It's funny.
Yeah. Based Bucky's.
Usually when Steak and Shake does something, they usually include, and don't forget our fries. They're made in beef tallow, or whatever. And because they like to throw that out there, which I think it's Steak and Shake that does that. But yeah, it's fire. Haven't been there for a long time. They got those little skinny fries. You can eat them all in like one bite.
Yeah, I know, right? Yes.
If you eat them one at a time, it takes forever, and you feel like you're not putting nothing in your mouth.
Yeah. No, Steak and Shake's pretty good, but yeah, I haven't been there forever.
Bradley says pre-made as if meatloaf is hard to make. Come on.
Yeah, I know, right?
Benjamin says Bucky's as a store is pretty based. I like Bucky's. I usually stop in there to the one in Daytona. It's about it's on my trip. It's on my route to Orlando, Florida. We've been going to Universal Studios a couple times already this year. We're going one more time in November.
Oh, nice.
And, it's nice. It's a nice little break in the drive, and it's just right off the highway there. So that's usually my my experience with them. But I always have a good time. Go in there and get some of those roasted, like pecans or whatever. Pecans are my favorite ones. But they do the canned ones. Last time I went by, though, I was on keto, so I couldn't get them. Actually, I did get them, and I just ate them anyways. But
a little cheat snack,
right? It ruined my keto, but then I ended up just ruining it on that vacation anyways, so it's all right.
Yeah.
But this was Cracker Barrel's actual response. We thank our guests for sharing your voices and love for Cracker Barrel. We said we would listen, and we have. Our new logo is going away. Our old timer will remain at Cracker Barrel. It's always been and always will be about serving up delicious food, warm welcomes, and the kind of country hospitality that feels like family. As a proud American institution, our 70,000 hardworking employees look forward to welcoming you on to our table soon. So they did backtrack rather fast. They didn't get like the whole Bud Light treatment. Kid Rock didn't come out and blast a 12 pack of Cracker Barrels or anything like that.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. Yeah, I know. They didn't have to shell out and then later on give a bunch of money to Kid Rock for him to start endorsing them again.
Yeah, that's pretty much what Bud Light did. Was they just bought their way out of that. They went and did a huge sponsor with UFC. They have a monopoly when it comes to buying beer at like Major League Baseball games and football games. Like if you want a beer, you can get a Bud Light or a Budweiser anywhere. But if you want like a Coors or a Yingling or something like that, there's like one place that sells it, and it's usually like behind center field, not near anywhere. The stands. You got to walk to it, and it's a total destination. And so at least that's the way it was last time I went to a game in Tampa, which was a few years back during all the Bud Light stuff. I was disappointed because I had to buy a Bud Light the first time. We went to 3 or 4 games in a row for the whole series. And I was like, dang, all they have is Bud Light or Budweiser. I'm kind of disappointed in myself for buying this. And then I found out like later on when we were doing more touring of the stadium that back at the bar behind center field on the upper level, you could get a Yingling and I don't even know if they had Coors Light. I think it was just Yingling, but anyways, it was something different that I like, so I took it.
Yeah. Yeah, but they put it out of the way, so that way it's like, you got to get the Bud Light unless you want to make a trip out of it.
Right, and then they also did a big blitz with the college football campaign too that year. So I mean, Bud Light, whatever it is, they bought their way out of that whole shenanigans.
Yeah, they sure did.
But AF Gurley says still won't get Bud Light. Yeah, me neither. I try to avoid it at all costs.
Yeah, I don't think I've had a Bud Light in a long time.
Right. which you shouldn't drink. Drinking's bad for you. Okay.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. Yeah. Don't drink. Exactly.
Right. Jeremy Prime on X here. He's D-Day Cobra. He posted, now fire your CEO and we'll all come back. I think that's kind of the general census from, the right conservative side of things. That was his response to the Cracker Barrel announcement. Let's see what else we got. This one. Okay, I got a big long thing from Benny, their official statement. We don't need to read through that. We kind of got the gist of it. And then this final story from New York Post that the shares did jump 7%. So if you bought low, you're having a good day, right? If you bought when it dipped, and that actually was kind of the story with Bud Light too. And now that I think about it, but yeah, it jumped up 7% after backtrack on logo chains, but fans still call for CEO to step down. I think she should be fired. I don't know if she will, but I'm kind of thinking that she's not the one that made this decision to backtrack on the logo. I kind of think that probably came from, some type of shareholder or something. But here, I haven't listened to this. I'm curious what this woman has to say. We'll just play it. If it'll play. Here we go.
We just have enjoyed it for so many years and are a little apprehensive about the changes they're wanting to make to it because we really like it just like it is.
They didn't even put the outline around the new logo. Like, you have to put an outline around it.
Yeah, I know. It just looks so plain.
Right.
They are supposed to be taking out the old, I call it antique type decorations on the walls, which I'm very conservative and old, so I like those, and rather that they didn't.
Which is something, like I said, they don't have at other stores. That's the diversity of Cracker Barrel, right?
Yeah, exactly.
My first thought was why? I mean, if it's not broke, don't fix it. And it's certainly not broke.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's not woke. You got to fix it, right?
I know, right? Yeah. It was broken that it wasn't woke, So they had to fix that by going woke.
Yeah, 100%. James says such a common thing nowadays to make everything so plain, sterile, and generic. Yeah, it really is. It's a common thing, and if like every store just looks the same, if every restaurant looks the same besides the name on the front, it's like, I guess, I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, I've seen that shared around too, where it shows pictures of like McDonald's from like when we were young and stuff, and it looks all, looks very different now. It just looks like very plain,
very boxy.
Yeah, very boxy. No fun to it whatsoever. And it's not even just McDonald's. It's like a few other examples. I forgot which ones, but yeah, it shows how it's like a trend to just make everything kind of just look the same.
Right. Exactly. And then it's like, all right, well, if you're just going to let the quality of the food and the service be the only thing we can judge,
Yeah.
I mean,
I know, right?
You better up the quality of your food. You better up the service, and you better not lower it down to the Democratic No Child Left Behind. Let's slow everything down to the slowest person's pace. Let's not do that, right? Let's amplify this right here.
Yeah, exactly.
Chris says, I enjoy finding stuff that was not in other restaurants. Yeah, you know what? I mean, not that this isn't in other restaurants, but I was cooking on my my iron pan. I think what they're called, an iron, like
cast iron.
Yeah, cast iron. I knew I was saying it wrong. I got a cast iron pan, only one, and it's actually from Cracker Barrel that we bought from there. It's got the lines on it, so you can do a steak, and it puts the lines across it or whatever. And I was cooking or I was cleaning it actually, and I flipped it over, and I'm like, it's like completely embossed with Cracker Barrel logo, and I'm like, oh dang, you can't get that at like, very many other restaurants or whatever. So, to Chris's point there is where he said I enjoyed finding stuff that was not in other restaurants.
I think we got like my wife bought some like they had these like little salt shakers, like these little. And they're very cheap too. I think they're like $1. Like it was very cheap. Like they weren't expensive at all. It was pretty cool. these like salt shakers, those like cowboy boots and cowboy hat and all these different ones.
Yeah.
They had a lot of little neat stuff like that there.
Right, just the Western feel, like the guy said here in the video, that the antique type of stuff.
Yeah, it was cool.
All that. So that's pretty much all we got about the Cracker Barrel stuff. I mean, it's just becoming all too common that these ironically woke white ladies become CEOs and think they can fix everything. Which I guess now that I think about it, Bud Light wasn't. She wasn't the actual CEO. She was her name. I know her name was Alyssa Heinerschneid, but she wasn't actually the CEO. She was head of marketing or something like that, marketing director. Jamie says, "Leave our restaurant alone." But yeah. So, anyways, I think we got a lot of people here. What's up?
Oh yeah. I wanted to add one more thing. Do you watch King of the Hill?
I have, but I haven't watched it lately.
Yeah, the new stuff. But like there's an episode in the original series where Hank's boss gave him his restaurant. It was like called Sugarfoot's, and it was like this barbecue place. And so like Peggy kind of just went in there and like redid everything. And I remember, and like she took out like she put carpeting in there, and she totally changed what made it Sugarfoot's and stuff. And Hank Gummer just walks in there and goes, "What the hell? What the hell happened to Sugarfoot's?" and that's pretty much like what I felt like happened here with Cracker Barrel, the same type of situation.
Right.
But that's what it reminded me of.
Right. I got you. And that's the thing too. Is like sometimes you can deal with a little bit worse service. Not saying that they give you bad service or anything like that, but like you can look the other way because of the experience or whatever that you get from a restaurant, or it's not the very best food, but I just like going there, type of thing. And so, you take it all away. True. It's just lack of diversity, which I'm not like out here saying we need to be diverse, but I just think I like using that as an excuse because that's what the left is always crying: diversity. But then here you have this woke lady that's removing the diversity from the restaurant scene.